At-large, it's Charlotte Griffiths. Thank you so much for
Morning,
joining
guys.
us.
Thanks for being with us.
This Sunday, as we count down to Christmas. But before all of that, we're going to count down to another move by Andy Burnham. We thought this had all disappeared, but it's on the front page of the Mail on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, you can set your clock by Andy Burnham, really. I mean, every time Keir Starmer's in a bit of bother, up pops speculation.
You're not saying he's doing it deliberately,
Call me a cynic if you like, but yeah, I mean, it's not just in the Mail, it's in the front of the Sunday Times as well, so it's obviously been put about by Andy's allies of Andy, whoever they may be. But yeah, the suggestion here is that he wants to become an MP, possibly even before the local elections in May. He's identified a seat. His allies in Parliament have helped him identify a seat in the North West, which it says polling suggests Labour would actually win it. But that's the other thing, you know, there's no guarantee. If you look at the opinion polls, can you imagine if he went for it and then didn't win? And I think it's still fraught with difficult. I mean, obviously his ideal scenario would be stand in the seat, win it. Labour have a disaster in May. They try to unseat Keir Starmer and they look around for who's our hero in waiting. There's Andy Burnham, why not? Because, I mean, to be fair, he's popular with voters, with some voters at least, more popular than Keir Starmer is, I think. I mean, this has just been such a long-running saga. And the danger as well is that he just looks so opportunistic. You know, he's going to have to, if it happens, he's going to have to run. Everyone's going to ask him, but you're only doing this because you want to be a leader. And he's going to have to deny it, and it's just... no one will believe it.
It's exhausting. You know, if you look at a chess game and you look at the characters that could conceivably make that move, Andy Burnham isn't the one with the most straightforward route. If you look, Shabana Mahmood would be potentially a stronger shout. Wes Streeting...
Ed Miliband is most popular.
So, I don't...
Ed Miliband would be popular with Labour members, maybe less so with the public, I think, but certainly with Labour members. So, yeah, it certainly wouldn't be a shoe-in for Andy Burnham, and it would be, I mean, I've got to say, it would be quite funny if he was to go for it and it didn't happen, to be honest.
We do like it. But, I mean, Charlie, the point is, like, replacing your leader midway through, is that a decent strategy for this Labour government? Because the accusation will be instantly, well, that's what the Conservatives did all the time, isn't it?
Totally. We were just talking about this. We feel like now changing leaders is like being on TikTok. Have we got the mind virus of social media so badly
you're bang on,
that we
Charlotte.
think we can just flick through?
Swipe through.
Instant gratification.
Instant gratification. Listen, I'm no fan of Starmer's, but I would actually rather we had a Prime Minister for 4 whole years or 5 whole years. Just to
Did the job that he was elected to do, yeah, exactly.
Just to see if we can still do it as a nation, as a country, as a political class.
And it could still happen. I mean, the Labour aren't good at getting rid of unpopular leaders.
It's more complicated for them, isn't it, than the Tories?
Yeah, it's just, they just don't have that sort of killer instinct, I think, that the Tories had. Maybe the Tories had it too much in the last Parliament, getting rid of so many leaders. So I wouldn't completely rule out Keir Starmer, but they'll definitely go into a bit of a meltdown if the local elections in May are as bad as...
That's going to be a real test, isn't it? If they aren't as bad as people think that they will be, the pressure might be just unavoidable.
Too much.
Yeah, exactly.
To get around. All right, let's move on to this then, on the front of the Observer. A little side there, because you've had thoughts on this already, haven't we?
So the front page of the Observer, talking about that ban of social media. Australia, they've gone ahead with it. Under 16s will not be able to log on to a TikTok, a Snapchat, whatever you like. I feel like this could be an easy win for the government. As a parent, I totally am behind it. But it costs them nothing. It would get parents like us behind that. But there's still resistance, isn't there?
You're so right. It's such an easy win. Any mother who looks at their children on a screen just thinks, God, how did I get myself into this mess? So Starmer, all he had to do was say, great idea, Australia, I'll do it too. But instead, he said that actually he wants to manage the content of social media. And for parents like us, I think, Leah, I find that just baffling, you know, and unconvincing. And I just think, can you really? Because we all know all children are absolute ninjas at getting around anything. And we're too old to be able to do it ourselves.
My 5-year-old can memorise my code on my phone.
Jude's watching me every time. He's like, I can see those numbers that you're putting in.
And they can reroute your internet. I mean, if you turn off the internet at home, they can find ways to log on to the neighbour's internet. You know, these children have grown up with this stuff. Some teenage neighbours were telling me about this the other day. So you're right, Steve. All Keir Starmer had to say is not something complicated and bureaucratic about fiddling around with the content that we don't understand. He could have just said a real real simple, clear ban, and we would have gone, great, well
But
done.
it's more than that for me, actually. It's smartphones and parents giving children smartphones. I think when a child's brain isn't developed at that stage, we're talking under 13, and they've got the internet in their pocket, I just don't see why you would do that.
Yeah, I think in years to come, I think maybe people look back and think, my God, I can't believe we let kids just have free run. Really.
You've made your point here, but let's have you do the other side of it if you can.
Yeah.
And the not to ban argument, because there is the. I mean, where is it? It's free speech. It's interference into
nanny state,
right? Okay.
Yeah.
The nanny state, I think, would be the big argument against it. You're right, freedom of speech, and just banning stuff isn't quite as straightforward as that. There'd be certainly a huge pushback from social media companies as well. I mean, I think the government would, and I just maybe think Starmer's thinking to himself, do I really need to open up another front and a fight with
maybe it's a Trump
all the social media companies?
Well, of course, and if we banned American firms here, Donald Trump would not be happy
about that. He would go mad, and it plays into this
relationship
idea that the Americans have got that we hate free speech in this country, which is baloney, but they think that, and I think if we were to turn around and say, well, we're going to ban social media, it might be quite impractical, although the Australians seem to have managed it so far. I think, again, you're right, it would open up another front with Trump as well, who is desperate to stay in Trump's good books. So I think that's probably a reason why
it's
they won't do it.
Yet, until... All right, where are we going next?
Sunday Telegraph, front page, Tories will ditch ban on petrol cars.
I mean, it is amazing how the political ground has shifted on the whole climate change debate. I mean, it was a while ago now, right enough, but I remember when David Cameron was saying, when he was in opposition, vote blue, go green. He was with Huskies in the Antarctic.
They changed the logo to a tree for exactly that reason, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And Theresa May, when she was Prime Minister, net zero by 2050, that was her big piece of legislation before she was ousted. But Kemi Badenoch spies an opportunity here, definitely. I think people instinctively think, the climate, very worried about the climate. The polling shows that people are worried, but are they willing to pay the extra money on their energy bills? Are they willing to get rid of their petrol cars? And the Tories think, well, here's an opportunity here, actually. We can get in there. And it's a dividing line between Labour. Labour are very, with Ed Miliband as energy secretary, very pro net zero, no suggestion of them rowing back on the big commitments. But Kemi Badenoch saying, no, we will, if we win the next election, we will end the ban on the sale of new petrol cars from 2030. That will go. I mean, that's quite smart politics, actually. I think it's something that could appeal to quite a few voters, I think.
So, I mean, where are the Labour government on that promise to ban them by 2030? Because we're fast approaching that date, and I'm not sure that we have the infrastructure in place to make sure.
Well, that's one of the other things, I think. If families watching this will think, and I'm included, actually, I'd love to have an EV, but I can't afford it. I can't afford the infrastructure at the front of my house to have a charging point. My 8-year-old would love me to have an e-tron Audi. I mean, I'd love to have cars are available.
Other electric...
However, it's the upfront cost for many families up and down the country.
That stress of range anxiety as well, not knowing where I'm going to be able to charge it on the road, put my family in the car. I'd hate that.
Definitely.
I think it's the range anxiety, because there are incentives to buying an electric car, so that's something for your Citroen E, whatever it's called. But I do think range anxiety, especially if you're a parent, actually, and you're doing that big trip to Cornwall for the summer holidays and you've loaded up the car and 5 kids, it's absolutely terrifying, the prospect of running out. And the infrastructure isn't there. I think what will ultimately happen is they'll extend it to 2035, which is when the hybrid ban will come in.
OK. So that's the thing. So we'll just push it back.
I think it'll get pushed back. We won't be able to make it by
And there's another cost of living thing as well. People think, well, actually, am I going to have to shell out for a new car by then? And I'm not very happy about that. So, again, that's why this potentially could appeal
it's very, isn't it?
Quite a lot of voters.
And it's also, it's another policy that we're seeing from Kemi Badenoch after all that talk of no policy.
No policies, actually.
That's nice.
Crazy.
Glad to move on to this on the front of the Sunday Times. We did it all day yesterday, well, in the time that we were on air anyway, yesterday, about the King. And these giving us some numbers about how many more people are now. They call it the King Charles effect.
Yes, well, so in the 24 hours after he talked about his own diagnosis and catching his cancer early, tens of thousands of people then logged on to the website to see whether they qualified for the check. And I think it's over 100,000 in total. But his broadcast. So it's a really good example of soft power, of royal power, really, and, bringing a good message out of what is actually a very sad situation for King Charles.
And I mean, it's inevitably going to save lives, isn't it? You've got to imagine that of all those people, there's the statistics would suggest that a lot of them will, unfortunately, have cancer. And this, if it's caught early enough, thanks to King Charles's example, then that's obviously got to be a really good thing.
Yeah, it's extraordinary the power that those messages can have, and brilliant that people would see those messages and then go and get themselves checked.
Absolutely.
We'll stay on the front page because of that picture there that perhaps we can see in a moment. We asked about this yesterday when we were talking to Bronte, didn't we?
Fractured relations. It's an issue that many people can relate to, but this is the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Markle. Her dad's in hospital in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Tragic for the family. What's the situation? She's been in touch via email, she's sent a handwritten letter, but she's not going to continue having a relationship with him. What's the latest on that, Charlotte?
Yeah, so this is the new thing, is that she's now, obviously through sources that have leaked it out, said she is really cutting off her father this time.
Right.
And there was a glimmer of hope last week because, sadly, he went into hospital, had his leg amputated. She wrote him an email that was to an old email address. She deleted his phone number, so eventually she wrote him a letter. And then there's a sort of hope that maybe these two will reconcile. It is the run-up to Christmas. Harry's reconciled with his father. However, the events following that day mean that she's cut him off for good this time.
OK. All right, Charlotte, Kevin, thanks for that. For now, we'll see you again next hour. We'll go through more of the stories in the morning's newspapers. Stay with us, plenty more to come at the top of the next hour.
What's the best thing about being a Sky News presenter?